in the spirit of, I guess let's just conclude with one more just sort of sophistry and historical atrocity with this Ben Shapiro clip. It's always bears repeating that this guy who suggested that homeowners who are losing their houses in a flood because of climate change can just flip it, was called the cool kids philosopher by the New York Times. Here he is with his deep insights on race and racism.
That is a perfectly reasonable thing to say, but because he says that, he's apparently a racist. And that's what this entire debacle is designed to do. The entire debacle is simply designed to suggest that anyone who seriously asks questions that are very serious about how exactly you would do something like this, that those people are inherently racist.
Pause it.
And that if you suggest...
No, it's not. I just said at the outset, and everybody who's serious about this on the policy level, and I'm sure you could read Doherty, which I have very high likelihood that Ben Shapiro is not, how you actually do is who would be in the program, how it would work, are precisely the serious questions that we would need to go over if this was going to become policy. But because Mitch McConnell was being disingenuous, historically inaccurate, and immoral, that's what people were talking about, Ben.
How exactly you would do something like this, that those people are inherently racist. And that if you suggest that the disparities between black and white wealth in America are not wholly due to the legacy of slavery, which they are not. Okay, they are not. They're in part due to the legacy of Jim Crow. They're in part due to the legacy of slavery. Jim Crow more than slavery simply is a time factor because Jim Crow is a lot more recent. People who are still alive experienced Jim Crow, many of them. But even that pales in comparison.
A lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people don't know that. By the way, if you had watched the 1 minute and 30-second clippable of Ta-Nehisi Coates, he reviewed everything. And if you wanted to read economics or political economy, you can include some other factors in there as well, Benny. But that's brilliant. This is a really deep point. He's doing a subtextual corrective on a point that literally nobody has made. Go ahead, Ben.
Experienced Jim Crow, many of them. But even that pales in comparison to the fact that intergenerational poverty is largely a function at this point in American life of individual choice. 17, 18-year-old people who are making poor decisions to impregnate women and then leave.
Wow.
Or commit crimes. How that is a legacy of Jim Crow or slavery as opposed to today, people born in the year 2000 and beyond, people committing crimes. How that is supposed to be recompensed by a Jewish immigrant who arrived in 1910. How you even work this is how do you justify something like that? How do you blame somebody who is not involved in a crime for a crime that was done to somebody else's great-great-great-great-great-grandparent? How do you make that happen? It's nearly impossible.
Well, you make it happen by a efficient, smart federal program that will redistribute wealth in a targeted way. And there's a variety of ways you could do this. Once again, if you read the Doherty piece, which Ben has not, through banks, through cash transfers, through investment targeted in specific communities. I will say I like the idea that crime has nothing to do with the legacies of things like oppression, because even in these like other examples that these guys love to use of the like oppressed off the boat immigrants, a lot of those communities actually did engage in certain organized criminal activities to generate wealth. But anyways, we have to run. Ben Shapiro, I am definitely not saying that everybody who questions the policy implications of reparations is a racist. I would include myself in that in some ways. I would say you are a racist, along with Mitch McConnell. So let me just, in my opinion, Ben Shapiro is a overrated racist. And yes, ad hom, ad hom, ad hom.